Now, the CEO and founder of the DNA testing company, Anne Wojcicki, she brought the company public via SPAC just 3 years ago. It has since lost 99.9% of its value from its $6 billion market cap peak. So she decided earlier this year that 23andMe should be private and firmly in her control. She proposed buying back all outstanding shares that she didn't already own. The board rejected that proposal, but she still has enough control to block other potential bidders. It has now culminated with all 7 members of that board resigning and a notice from the NASDAQ threatening to delist the company if she can't replace them by October 3rd. Now, take a look. This is the current webpage of 23andMe's board of directors. It's mighty lonely. Previously, though, it included some of the most important leaders in tech and healthcare. These are just some of them. Sequoia Capital's Roelof Botha, YouTube CEO Neil Mohan, renowned MDs. They were attracted in the first place to Wojcicki's drive to move fast and ship products, pioneering direct-to-consumer genomics. It's founder's mode, basically, this whole saga, playing out in public with all the scrutiny that goes along with this. Founder's mode is something that Brian Chesky popularized recently. He talked about running Airbnb and said that he had to take a step back after becoming a public company and go back to founder's mode, remove layers of management, get back in the weeds, run the company the way he wanted to. That notion of founders versus managers has gained a lot of traction with many VCs and founders arguing over the merits. And this saga with 23andMe, another example of how it can play out to its benefit or distress.
Hey you guys, welcome back to another video here in Stacy's Random POV. I am Stacy and I hope you're having a blessed Sunday, and I hope that you've had an amazing weekend. So in this video, you guys, we have to discuss the drama that's going on with this whole 23andMe situation. And before I get to it, I must say that everything that I'm about to say is exclusively my opinion. I am not speaking for anybody. I am just making a point in this entire situation. So as you guys heard in the beginning, in the news clip there, 23andMe have underwent a drastic drop in income and drop in productivity. So because of that, the board of directors sent her a letter. If you guys notice above here, they sent her a letter saying that they have not received any payment from her, nor have they received a fully actionable proposal for them to continue on. So because of that, they will have to resign. Pause my voice or mute it so you guys can read it on yourself. I make sure to include the letter in its entirety that the board of directors sent to her. And as to who these people were, it's kind of hard to pinpoint because, as you guys know, a lot of billionaires and multimillionaires, they like to move in silence. So a lot of their identities are pretty much basically just scrubbed off of the internet. But as the beginning in the clip just stated, some of them were CEOs and board members that work for other big companies as well. And honestly, this whole 23andMe thing sounds like it was just something that the elites used to collect people's DNA and to start their cloning. Also, for a little bit of money laundering. But what's wrong with a little bit of white collar? Or is this blue collar? I don't even know. But the fact that she want to privatize the company, it's a little bit concerning to me because there is unlimited, untapped potential and a lot of harm that she can do with such sensitive information that belongs to other people. Another thing that I think that the board of directors quit also, it might be because they are in Diddy's tapes. Let's not forget, these people quit a day after P. Diddy was arrested, which is even creepier in itself, just that it happened. So maybe, they just wanted to avoid being called to testify or to answer any questions from the FBI. If that's the case, man, Diddy had his hands everywhere. He truly was a villain, if that is the case. But what I find even weirder is the fact that NASDAQ wrote her a letter saying that they were going to pull her out of the market if she cannot replace those 7 people that resigned. But as you guys know, everything in this world is very weird. Everything is unexplainable for some weird reason. But let me know what you guys think. You guys already know how I do my thing here. I got together more videos from different creators that I'm sure you guys will enjoy. Have a great weekend. Bye.
I come bearing good news today. As I have stated before, and I will continue to maintain, the secret that the global powers are working so hard to keep secret is the identity of Black people. 2 major things have happened this week. The first is that rapper Diddy, Sean Combs, has been arrested. The second is far more important. The first is just the distraction. And that is that the 7 independent directors on the board of directors at 23andMe have resigned. Remember, they have to hide the truth in plain sight, but they hope that you never find it, which is why they distracted you with the arrest of Diddy the day before all 7 members of the board of directors at 23andMe resigned. What I mean by that is they are playing a chess game. They have known that they were going to lose the match since the beginning, but they are elongating the loss. They know their time is up, but they are using all of their plays on the board. Is it your belief that they haven't known for decades what Diddy was doing behind closed doors? Or is it more likely to believe that they knew very well what he was doing because he was deeply embedded into their system of secrecy? What I mean by that is there is a deep system of blackmail going on here at a global level, and all of the global powers are involved. All of the 3-letter agencies are involved. They are all being judged for deceit. And this is why I say the entertainment industry, the sports industry, the church, businesses, corporations, and the government are all deeply intertwined because they are operating on the same chess game, playing as pawns in the game, ready to be used whenever they're needed. All for the sake of keeping this one thing secret. Which brings me to my main point. All 7 of the independent directors on the board of directors at 23andMe have resigned. And at face value, this may seem meaningless, but let me tell you, this is actually massive. If you've never heard of 23andMe, they are a personal genomics and biotechnology company that allows direct-to-consumer DNA testing. And you've probably seen a lot of their work on social media, their breakdown charts, where you'll see someone say, oh, I'm 80% Nigerian and I'm 20% Norwegian. These breakdowns come from information provided from this company. By no surprise, 23andMe is the foremost leader in their field. They are the company that is often used to justify Black people being from Africa. Anytime that Black Americans begin to claim ownership of American land, the first thing that is used to rebut their ownership claim is, oh, but you're from Africa and your ancestry proves it. Make no mistake, they are named 23andMe. What is this telling you? We know from numerology that 23 is really just code for 7 sixes, 0.666666667. Mark of the beast. Let's make no mistake, there were 7 board of directors that resigned. Everything is spiritual, whether you want to believe it or not. And all you have to do is follow the money. Who owns the company that owns the company that owns the company? I'm not going to tell you here, but what I will say is all you have to think about is the sign and symbol that rapper Jay-Z holds up anytime he gets an opportunity to. Make no mistake, beginning of the year, we watched a movie called Leave the World Behind, produced by the Obamas. At the beginning of that film, we see a ship called the White Lion crashing on shore. It is my claim that that is a metaphor, warning all of the world's elite that the white lie is coming to a crash. And I'll end with this. Thy works, tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. The blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, but are not Jews, of the synagogue of Satan.
I'm not gonna lie, this had me thinking very deep.
Okay, friends, so 23andMe, 7 out of 8 of their board members resigned. 7 out of 8. And they resigned because of the CEO's decision to move towards privatization. And privatization just so happens to be my latest hyperfixation Roman Empire. So let me tell you why this is not okay. 23andMe is one of the big players in the biotech world, mainly because of their work with genetic testing. They have the genetic material of millions of Americans. Millions. Which means that if they go private, that information is now given to the highest bidder which means that they can have access to send you targeted advertising based specifically on your genetic material. Let's say we sell this genetic material, and companies always promise that we won't sell your information, your data will be safe with us. Okay, we know how that goes. They can sell that to insurance companies. Insurance companies can use your genetic data to determine if they're going to give you coverage or not. Things like that happen in this slippery slope when we start allowing private companies into sensitive areas like healthcare and genetics. And the reason why we want to pay attention to privatization is because we start to lose a layer of transparency when private companies tend to get involved. We also are essentially victim to American corporate greed. It's all dependent on how they are feeling, and who knows how that information can be used. So if you are someone who gave your DNA to 23andMe, you want to make sure that you are paying attention to any privacy or data changes coming down the pipeline, and actually read the fine print, Doesn't hurt to read the fine print. Pay attention to healthcare companies and more of these companies going private, because what is happening is a shift towards your genetic material, your information, your data being seen as a commodity and not something that should be guarded or protected with like rigorous ethical standards. Rigorous. It's a product. Welcome to Late Stage.
She's so pretty, and this is Project 2025.
The entire independent board of 23andMe decided to resign on the same exact day. This is a red flag. Just follow me for a second. Now the company is facing bankruptcy. It's down 99.5% in valuation. CEO proposed they plan to go private, but the entire board rejected it. Now why? Obviously, I don't have any insider information, but if I was to hypothesize, she put out a plan to, get the money back in the private markets. What exactly is valuable with 23andMe? Well, it's not the test itself. 5 years ago, the technology was fantastic. Now a computer could probably run your DNA test in 5 seconds. Certainly not the platform, because it's a one and done type of platform. So, you don't go back to get your DNA tested again. And more than likely, it's not the leadership, so it's not going to get acquired. The only thing valuable left that 23andMe has is the database. Now the database probably has hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people's DNA sequencing inside of a database. While yes, you can use it for positive things like drug development, you can probably also use it for nefarious things. So I obviously don't know what's going on the inside of the company. I don't know the financials. But when I say it's a red flag, just don't send your DNA data. This is not like your internet searching browser history that you go to sites with. This is your DNA data. Don't send it to tech companies that are masquerading like health companies. I'm obviously not saying whether or not they will or won't do that kind of thing. I'm just saying be smart about your data. Anyways, love you guys. See you on the next one.
But they already have the data. How can we be smart when they got what they need?
The board of 23andMe, the company that does all the DNA tests independently, just resigned en masse. All 7 independent directors resigned from the company's board effective immediately. And with everything that's gone down this year is bringing up a whole lot of questions in people's minds as to why they would do that. Think about that. 7 people, 7 independent directors resigned all at the same time. And they're saying that it was because of a disagreement since the company is going private. But think about it. Is this the real reason that they would all just leave together as if they were going to get a job somewhere else immediately? Have you ever wondered why companies like 23andMe are so eager to collect your DNA? What could they possibly want with it? They say that it's for health reports and to check your ancestry, your family tree. Sounds pretty innocent. But let's think deeper about that. DNA is the blueprint of you, your past, your present, and possibly your future. What happens when that DNA falls into the wrong hands? Imagine if your DNA is not just a fun family tree tool, but actually part of a database being analyzed for more than just your heritage. Could they be tracking certain genes for future use in various programs? Insurance companies would surely be interested in your DNA as well. I mean, they could determine who's risky and who's not to get a life insurance. Who to charge more, who to charge less. It could possibly be sold to pharmaceutical companies to develop drugs tailored to specific genetic markers, drugs that only some people could afford. We've already seen these DNA companies lose massive amounts of personal data in the past. They could possibly lose your DNA as well. And then the whole reason why the 23andMe board of directors resigned was because of the company going private and them not agreeing with the direction they were taking that company. I'm only now thinking about how important my genetic code is. I've never really considered that. I will keep you updated on the situation. Like and follow.
He
for
moves
more.
too much, but he's speaking facts though. Let's get it.
This Tuesday, every single board member at 23andMe resigned. What's happening here is unheard of. This comes just one day after 23andMe agreed to a $30 million settlement for a data breach that exposed around 7 million users' personal information and genotype data to cyber criminals. Given this recent news, I wanted to share 23andMe's story so we can all be a little more informed on their history and what's going on here. I don't have all the answers, but here's what I know. 23andMe was co-founded by Ann Wojcicki, the current CEO and now sole board director. This all started in 2003 when the Human Genome Project was completed, which successfully mapped 92% of the human genome. This revolutionized the field of genetics and made it it possible for 23andMe to emerge. The company was founded in 2006 with the mission of helping people access, understand, and benefit from the human genome. From the very beginning, they collected people's data, which was controversial even back then. They got their initial seed funding from Genentech, and in 2007, they raised a $3.9 million Series A from Google Ventures. It's worth mentioning that Anne had married Google co-founder Sergey Brin earlier that same month. In 2008, they had a huge launch party in New York City and got a ton of press. They started hosting celebrity spit parties, and they got on the cover of New York Times and Wired. Time magazine named them the 2008 Invention of the Year. Their first ever kit cost $1,000, but they were only able to sell around 15 to 20 kits a day at that point. So they continued to lower the price point, and when they got to $99, demand exploded. This early traction allowed them to raise a total of $100 million in venture funding between the years of 2009 and 2012. In 2013, the FDA ordered 23andMe to go through FDA approval. They got approved in 2015, and this gave them a huge competitive advantage because now they were the only company that was legally allowed to sell these tests. By 2015, they had close to 1 million people in their database. That's when Anne realized that this library of data could be valuable for therapeutics. According to her, drugs that were developed using genetic information were 2 to 3 times more likely to be successful. So they decided to raise $115 million in Series E funding led by Fidelity and start their own therapeutics division. Literally,
I'm gonna let her finish, you guys, but if you got this far, please subscribe, and once you do, you automatically become a member of my village. Thank you so much for getting this far in the video.
Using 23andMe test results to develop drugs and medication. That's when Richard Scheller got involved as chief science officer and head of therapeutics. He's one of the board members that just quit. He helped put together their entire strategic plan, who they had to hire, how much it would cost to build the lab, how long it would take to develop drugs. They became a biotech company. In September 2017, they raised a $250 million Series F round led by Sequoia Capital. The partner on that deal, Rolef Botha, is another one of the board directors that just resigned. By 2018, their brand awareness hit an all-time high, and they had close to 8 million people in their database. But by 2019, their sales started to decline, and there was growing concerns about privacy. People wanted to know what was happening to their data. They also faced a business model problem, because 23andMe is a one-time purchase, not a repeat one, which doesn't make it very scalable. So in 2020, they laid off 14% of their workforce and launched 23andMe Plus, an annual subscription service. In June 2021, the company went public and hit its all-time high valuation of $6 billion. Using this IPO money, they acquired Lemonade Health to start providing telehealth services as well, since that had taken off after the pandemic. But this also increased their operating costs, and privacy concerns continued to grow. Their stock started plummeting. It dropped below $1 in 2023, and they risked being delisted from the Nasdaq. That brings us to this week. Their whole board just quit. They released a statement telling Anne, quote, "We have yet to receive from you a fully financed, fully diligenced, actionable proposal that's in the best interest of non-affiliated shareholders." And again, this comes following a major data breach. I've personally done a 23andMe test, and I know that many of you listening to this have too. So please consider helping me amplify this message by liking, commenting, or reposting this video. That's what these platforms are here for. I'm Michelle, and thanks so much for watching.
Don't forget that subscribe button so you become a member of this village. Be blessed.